So if you're having any difficulties, there is a yellow hand symbol at the top where you can click and I can assist you as much as I possibly can. So today I'm joined by Paul Brassington, Sabio's expert on human-assisted services, and Greg Widdowson, Avaya's digital engagement expert, to find out how disruptors in the market are affecting the customer journey. I will now hand you over to Paul Brassington. To talk you through.
Thank you, Selena. And again, welcome everyone, and thank you for taking the time out to join us for today's webinar. For those of you who attended our recent Disruptive Customer Contact event in London, you'll recall Gary Barnett from Avaya talking about the 4 key disruptors in the marketplace today, which are driving transformation in enterprises. Later during this webinar, we are very fortunate to have Greg Widdowson joining us. Greg is a digital engagement expert at Avaya, and Greg is going to talk us through a number of scenarios where Avaya Breeze can provide invaluable support and automation at various points during the typical customer journeys. But first, let's briefly recap those 4 key disruptors in the marketplace that Gary highlighted at our recent event. Everyone has a different perspective on what cloud actually is. If I was to ask each of you joining us today to describe cloud, I'd probably end up with a range of different views. I think it's fair to say that everyone also has a different opinion on when and where to best use cloud-based services. At our recent event, Gary talked at length about how Avaya's strategy is now mobile first. Why? Well, because that is what businesses are asking for, in order to increase the productivity and accessibility of their employees. In addition, this growing demand for mobile-enabled applications is in no small part due to the ever-increasing demands from their own end customers. With social networking and group messaging continuing to gather pace, no longer is it an option for businesses to sit back and wait for customers to contact them directly. Instead, they also need to proactively monitor and react to any comments or feedback that their customers may choose to share in a social forum. Such public commentary, influenced by personal experiences, can in turn directly affect the actions of others, such as whether to buy something or not. In an age where customer experience is everything, soliciting the opinions of others is commonplace. Therefore, it is imperative to try and foster positive attitudes, and that any negative views are wherever possible changed to positive ones. Through its very existence, technology invariably produces data, and lots of it. The data that it produces is now being viewed by many as the crude oil of analytics. By offering the opportunity to refine and leverage raw data, organizations can gain a much greater understanding than ever before of their customers. This can also offer crucial competitive insights regarding typical customer behavioral patterns. And the common link across each of these disruptive factors, well, that is digital empowerment, of course. Digital empowerment of end consumers is now in turn driving companies to digitally transform their own businesses. This is necessary to better predict and respond to customer behavior and meet the ever-increasing demands and expectations. The any device, any channel, anytime approach that end customers are now adopting is driving the need for businesses to seek cross-channel customer and context awareness. This is essential to deliver the personalized experiences that end customers are beginning to expect as the norm, and organizations are quickly finding out that they can no longer afford to fail in delivering this. So there you have it, the 4 key disruptors that both Avaya and Sabio are seeing in the marketplace today, and the common link across each of these. So at this stage, let's do a quick poll, just to make sure everybody's still with me. Of the 4 key disruptors that we've just discussed, which one is having the most significant impact on your business today? Is it cloud, mobile, social, or big data? I'll give you a minute or two to fill it out, probably a little bit less than that. But if you could enter the poll, that'd be great. Thank you. Okay, I think we've given enough time there. So that's interesting. So we've seen cloud and big data, and that's really interesting actually, because if we look at Sabio, so here at Sabio, I guess the two main disrupting influences on our own business are probably cloud and big data as well. The demands from our own customers drove us a few years ago to launch our own cloud-based UC and contact center platform, Sabio On Demand. During the course of the last year or so, our new vendor partnerships and acquisitions have to a large degree been driven by the desire to better analyze and leverage big data, hence our onboarding of Now Interact and Rapport. So anyway, moving on, I think it's fair to say that the digital world in which we live is transforming at an ever-increasing rate of change. So I guess the key question is, what are organizations such as Avaya doing to address the growing demands that this change invariably brings with it? Well, quite a lot as it happens. At the beginning of 2016, Avaya made a conscious decision to show the world a different company. A company that was more nimble, agile, faster and smarter. A company more able to recognize and react to changing market conditions and consumer behaviors more quickly. Avaya started to do things differently, think about themselves differently, and more importantly, innovate differently. In fact, during the course of 2016, Avaya brought to market no less than 16 new products. In doing so, they have now delivered a product portfolio to their customers aimed at better equipping them with the tools that they need to address the transformations that they are now experiencing. Today, I'd like to introduce you to a few of these new products, and in particular one which at Sabio we feel is hugely significant. Hugely significant because it delivers the potential to change everything. Avaya Breeze is essentially an application development environment that provides workflow automation capabilities for executing communications-based events. Are you with me so far? Well, just in case you're not, please let me try and explain the concept to you and the power and the real potential that is Avaya Breeze. About 20 years ago, I got my first mobile phone. This is it, a Nokia 8110. I think at the time it was referred to as a candy bar slider, and I do remember liking it quite a lot, not least because it appeared in the Matrix. However, if I remember correctly, I used it pretty much for just three things: to make and receive calls, to send and receive text messages, and on the occasions when more often than not I didn't have a signal at all, to play Snake. And that was about it really. About the same time, I was also working for a company called Lucent Technologies. Their flagship product at the time was something called the Definity Switch. It was a digital switching platform, or a big metal box, that basically routed telephone calls. It also had some rather neat advanced call center software on board, which some of you may have heard of, called Call Center Elite. But when you boiled it down, that was about it really. Its sole purpose in life was essentially to get calls from one place to another. Anyway, fast forward 20 years to today, and my trusty old Nokia has long since gone, having been replaced by a fantastic little device made by Apple. In fact, I suspect that most of you here with us today have one of these, or something very similar. A modern day smartphone without which our lives would probably fall apart. And to that point, something has fundamentally changed in the intervening 20 years. No longer do we just use these devices for making or receiving calls, sending or receiving text messages, or indeed playing Snake. In fact, according to Statista, as of March this year, and irrespective of our mobile vendor of choice, the majority of us had over 2 million different apps to choose from for our respective devices. So what happened? Did Apple suddenly come up with lots of ideas to start developing and delivering to us this extensive library of apps to meet our every need? No, of course they didn't. What they actually did was something far cleverer. They recognized that they themselves didn't have the time or the ideas or the resources to develop every single app that anyone could ever want. What they did, therefore, was recognize the value in providing an open platform to a developer community who could in turn come up with the ideas and develop the apps. Then either use the apps themselves or sell them on to other end customers, thereby creating commercial value for themselves for the ideas and work they're effectively sharing with the world. What an ingenious idea. Apple themselves maintain a business from manufacturing and selling premium devices. The developers around the world benefit and profit from the apps, and the rest of us have a device and an almost overwhelming array of apps to choose from to fulfill our every need. Everyone's a winner. So on that note, please let me introduce you to Avaya Breeze. Avaya's vision for the Breeze platform is clear: to create a single integrated application platform that works in conjunction with any device or system. A platform for enabling enterprises and businesses to build and deploy real-time communications and collaboration applications for both business communications and customer services. Because no longer is communications just a case of getting calls from one place to another, like the good old Definity switch did 20 years ago. So what is Avaya Breeze exactly? Well, in a nutshell, it's an application development and hosting environment. The applications that it hosts can react to events, whether they are customer-initiated requests, such as an inbound telephone call or a web chat request, for example, or back-end triggers, such as automated notifications like an appointment or delivery reminder, for example. Then, to the workflow automation capabilities that Avaya Breeze offers, appropriate real-time communication events can be automatically executed for delivering event-driven outcomes. As part of this process, big data repositories can also be potentially leveraged in order to make the events and experiences more personalized and contextual. So as I've already touched upon, it is a single integrated environment that delivers a suite of developer capabilities. These in turn expose all of the powerful enterprise communications and collaboration capabilities of the Avaya Aura platform into a single developer experience. It allows applications to be built in a way that reflects real business processes and customer requirements, rather than in technology or integration silos. At the heart of Avaya Breeze is a graphical development tool called Engagement Designer. This allows for rapid development of applications, or snap-ins, as Avaya refers to them as, without the need to have prior communication-related development skills. There are also a vast array of pre-existing snap-ins for assembling teams, making work assignments, adding click-to-call capabilities, triggering communication events, and more. With a simple drag-and-drop action, developers can assemble applications to implement rich enterprise-grade communication capabilities. By enabling organizations and developers to build or embed real-time communications into any application or process, Avaya Breeze truly allows end-to-end customer journey orchestration. So other than the reasons already outlined, why Avaya Breeze? Well, firstly, it significantly reduces the time and effort required to develop and deliver applications. This is because it removes the need for developers to worry about things like scalability and resiliency and virtualization and security, because all of these are already taken care of by the Avaya Breeze platform itself. And secondly, the Avaya Breeze platform is fully virtualized. This helps to deliver maximum flexibility of deployment options and minimizes hardware requirements. Now shortly, Greg is going to show us a couple of sample scenarios and talk in more detail about the type of events that naturally occur during a typical customer journey. He's also going to highlight where Avaya Breeze can react to events and help to personalize and automate the end-to-end process. Before it does that, however, there is another very important third key benefit that I'd like to share with you in respect of Avaya Breeze. That is, rather than having to wait for Avaya to develop a new product or solution, or indeed add a specific piece of functionality to an existing product or solution, Avaya Breeze actually provides customers with an open and integrated development environment of their own. Therefore, by using this environment, developers, whether they're Avaya developers or Sabio developers or systems integrators, or indeed your very own in-house development teams, can develop applications to fulfill functional or use case gaps that Avaya themselves don't currently have a solution for, either to use themselves or commercially resell via the Avaya Snap Store. Snap-ins, as we have already discovered, are in effect representative of applications, connectors, or modules that can deliver a piece of functionality or provide a specific integration. They can complement an existing product or solution by filling a specific functionality gap or represent a dedicated service all of their own. They can be based on internal or industry best practices and ultimately deliver standardized, open and reusable modules. They do truly represent a write once, integrate everywhere approach. Again, this can help reduce and simplify development time and effort, speeding up time to market and potentially allowing the reuse of applications or modules across multiple solutions. So there you have it. Communications is at the heart of where business transformation begins, and at the heart of a rich, diverse and exciting product set from Avaya is Avaya Breeze, a core application and integration framework upon which Avaya products are now based. And in support of that very point, on the next two slides we'll look very briefly at Avaya Oceania and Zang, two products that truly realize this vision by being part of this growing, open ecosystem framework that is Avaya Breeze. Avaya Oceania delivers out-of-the-box omni-channel enablement for organizations. It inherently supports and provides visibility for contextual and continuous customer journeys with truly open intelligent routing and one-to-one customer resource matching capabilities. It also comprises of a full browser-based end-user interface called Oceania Workspaces. It is underpinned by a full supporting software development kit or SDK. This in turn enables organizations to create their own complete end-user interface or embed controls into an existing one if they so wish to do so. Zang comprises of a suite of useful communication tools that form part of an intuitive development platform, allowing for fast and flexible communication enablement of cloud-based applications. The core capabilities of Zang encompass voice, video, and messaging automation to effectively allow the communication enablement of anything. Now, as promised, I'm going to hand over to Greg to walk you through those sample scenarios and highlight some very specific examples of how Breeze can be leveraged to make customer experiences brilliant. Greg, over to you.
Thanks, Paul. And good afternoon, everybody. My name is Greg Widdowson. I work for Avaya, and as Paul says, I'm going to walk you through a number of use cases that hopefully will bring Breeze alive and explain to you how Breeze can be used to actually improve not only the customer journey, but also the enterprise and the communication-enabled business processes across the enterprise. So let's just take a look at our customer journey overview. So the first number of use cases are going to be linked to this particular customer journey. This is a typical digital customer journey where somebody is going onto a website, they're going to looking to buy a product or a service, but perhaps for some reason they've found that they're unable to complete the purchase and they've abandoned their basket. Now, what we're going to explain as we go through this customer journey is how Breeze can be used to actually save that sale and also improve the customer experience and hopefully delight that customer. So we're going to actually break this down into separate parts and explain the use case and how Breeze is going to be able to improve that particular scenario. So the first part of this journey is about the actual abandonment of the basket itself. So if you can imagine the scenario, somebody is decided to log on to one of their favorite websites to purchase some products. It could be clothing, it could be white goods, whatever it may be, but they've logged onto the website, they're browsing for their specific product. They find the product they're looking for, they add it to their basket, and they're ready to check out. However, when they get to the checkout, they find that they're having problems entering their loyalty card number. Now, I'm sure like you, we've all got busy lives. I've certainly got a busy life. I'm sure everybody has busy lives. And what they've found is now that the customers don't stick around trying to solve that problem. Maybe they're late for a meeting or whatever it might be. They've decided actually they haven't got time to finish this, and so they're going to abandon that basket. Now, at this point in time, we could have lost that sale. However, whilst we've been tracking that that transaction, whilst they've been browsing the website, we've been using Breeze to track the context, to track the customer journey and understand exactly who the customer is and how they've been traversing through the website. And when that basket is abandoned, we're able to use that trigger to trigger an event in Breeze which could send that customer, because they are a valued customer, we know who they are, we know their relationship, we send them an SMS, not only to remind them that they have abandoned a basket, but also to offer them help and perhaps also offer them an incentive to complete the purchase by giving them perhaps a 5% or a 10% discount. All of that is triggered by that event of abandoning the basket, and Breeze comes into play here by enabling us to trap that event and then send out the SMS to the customer. Now, of course, this doesn't have to be an SMS. It could be a message on their favorite messaging platform. But in this particular case, we're just going to go with good old SMS. So the customer has received that SMS on their mobile phone. They've taken a look at it. They're now at a point, perhaps later on in the day, they've decided, actually, yes, I would like to complete that transaction. I just didn't have enough time this morning, and now I'm going to complete it. So as part of that SMS, we've also sent them a click to dial link. So they click that button, and it automatically puts a call into the vendor's contact center. The call, as usual, goes into an IVR. We collect a few pieces of information, and now they're held in a queue waiting for an advisor to become available. Now, again, at this point in time, because we have context, we have the information we know about this customer, we know this is we're trying to save this sale because it was an abandoned basket. We actually can also start to check on availability of web chat agents. The customer is going to be waiting in the queue for several minutes, and rather than letting them wait, we actually again use the trigger to signal to Breeze to say, send them an SMS with a web chat link and ask them, rather than waiting for an agent to talk to, would you like to continue this transaction via web chat? Again, the customer hears the beep in their ear as they're waiting on their mobile. They see the link and actually decide, yep, this is a good idea. This is what I'd like to do. So they hang up the call and click on that link and start a web chat with an available agent. As they're going through that web chat, the agent not only gets the information about who's calling, but because we've been tracking all that information, all the context and the customer journey, we can present that to the agent so they don't have to start the transaction from scratch. They know exactly who the customer is, why they're contacting them, and also the fact that they had an abandoned basket. It could be that the customers explained to them the problem they were having entering in their loyalty card. So the agent, again, using another snap-in from within Breeze, offers them a co-browsing session from within the web chat. The customer accepts, and the co-browsing session is started. Now, again, this doesn't matter whether they're on a laptop or whether they're on a mobile device or a smart device. the co-browse session can be started, and the agent can now not only see what the customer can see, but they can also ask for control and actually help the customer fill out the details, make sure they're able to enter their loyalty number correctly, and help them actually complete the sale and finish the purchase. All that is completed. The agent helps them to complete that sale. They get their 5 or 10% discount, and the customer is very, very happy. But that isn't the end of the journey. With all digital journeys, there is always a feedback loop. We always want to know, how did we do? Is there any areas that the customer was happy with? Are there any areas that the customer would like to see improvements? Again, because we have the information and we know how this journey began, we can use this to trigger off an SMS survey. Now, that doesn't have to be a survey which is from Avaya. That can be a survey from any vendor, because again, Breeze works over the top of your existing solutions and works in tandem with your existing solutions. All we're doing here is using Breeze in the context that we've collected to trigger off that SMS survey. That survey goes out to the customer, they complete it, they perhaps also indicate in that survey the area where they had problems. Now, that again could indicate that there is an issue here that we need to look at. And there's an issue that we actually need to get our development team, our web team, to look at and maybe improve that experience for the next customer who comes along. So Breeze is not just about the customer journey. It's also about how do we communication enable our business processes across the entire enterprise. And here what we can use is, again, another trigger from that completed survey to say, actually, we need to bring our development team together. We'll notify them via an email or perhaps via, could be SMS, or even bringing them dynamically together onto a conference call to discuss what the issues that were identified and how we can make that change to the overall customer experience. So hopefully that gives you an example of how Breeze could be used across an entire customer journey to actually improve that journey for the customer, identify areas where we can make that journey less traumatic, and perhaps even save a sale. But Breeze is not just about customer interaction. Breeze sits on the Aura platform, and just like the Aura platform, Breeze can spread across the entire organization, whether that's the front office interactions with customers or whether that's also reaching out into the enterprise and improving the business processes that exist within an entire enterprise. And my final use case explains exactly that, and how one of our customers, excuse me, just having a little problem with the slide. There we go. So one of our customers has used Breeze to actually make considerable savings, and perhaps has used it in an area that you wouldn't have normally thought about from a communications perspective or an Avaya perspective. So this customer is Michigan State University. They're an existing Avaya customer out in the US. They have somewhere in the region of 50,000 undergraduates and 17,000 postgraduates. Very large institution, has a very large campus with over 400 lifts scattered across the whole of that campus. Now, what we did with Michigan State was that we actually invited them to a hackathon. And we asked their students to come along. We gave them all the tools, all the Breeze tools, everything that they needed to create a snap-in. And those students came up with this use case and came up with this snap-in as part of that hackathon. Now, again, when we look at those 400 lifts, part of the state law insists that if anybody presses the emergency button in the lift, their call must be responded within 60 seconds. Now, Michigan, initially how they did this was they actually outsourced all of those those contacts to an external company. And when the emergency call button was placed, the calls were sent to this external company who answered the call and then contacted somebody in the university to explain the situation, where the lift was, and what needed to be done. The student came up with the idea of actually intercepting that call. So rather than it going out to the outsourcer, he was able to intercept that call using Avaya Breeze, send an emergency notification to the maintenance staff wherever they may be on the campus via SMS, but also identify the nearest security office to that particular lift and direct that call directly through to that security office. So rather than now having to go out to an external company who then has to contact them and start the process off, we're able to short circuit all of that and actually get the local people on site to that lift as quickly as we possibly can, whilst also maintaining the statutory requirement that they had to answer the call within 60 seconds. Now that seems a very simple use case, but actually that saved Michigan State over $400,000 per annum on that outsourced contract of somebody just waiting for one of those emergency buttons to be pushed. And this was just one example that came out from that hackathon. There were half a dozen or so in this area. It was development time and minimal diversity. With so with satisfied hopefully everyone can hear me now. I understand we had a slight glitch with the audio there, but just in summary, Michigan State were able to save over $400,000 per annum by implementing this simple snap-in with minimal outlay, because they were able to do this all internally using their own student body. They didn't have to pay for any additional development time. And this just gives us an example that Breeze is not only about the customer journey, but also about how we can use it across the entire enterprise, and also how you can develop these snap-ins yourselves. You don't need to use Avaya, you don't need to use Avaya snap-ins, you can create these snap-ins yourself. So in summary, I'd just like to think about how could you use Breeze in your enterprise? And now I'm just going to hand back to Paul just to close things out.
Thank you, Greg. A couple of great examples there. One obviously based on a traditional customer journey experience, and highlighting really some key areas where we believe Breeze can absolutely make a difference. I think, you know, the key takeaway from me is that no longer is it necessary to develop kind of point integration solutions using different technologies, different languages. Breeze is really a platform now to provide a framework for you to kind of deliver real solutions for customers to help them in their journey at various points through the journey. And I think the example that you talked through initially was a great example of that. And just to reiterate, you know, some of the examples used there exist today as snap-ins. They've already been created. Some are ideas that we've come up with, but just to kind of follow on to Greg's point, it's massively important, and we're really keen to work with organizations out there to identify more examples of where we believe kind of Breeze can make a big difference. And the second example, kind of really kind of stretching the realms of imagination, and I think the point there is, you know, no longer are we kind of thinking about the regular type of things that might happen in real world scenarios, but really kind of going off piste really, and kind of thinking about communications enablement in areas where previously we wouldn't have even thought there was a solution possible for those type of scenarios. So yes, great, thanks Greg. I think now we are going to do a quick poll You know, we're obviously keen to kind of share with the audience as much information as we can around some of the things that Sabio are doing and some of the things that Avaya are doing from a product perspective. So I think we've got a few ideas about potential opportunities for future webinars. So if you maybe kind of want to have a look down that list and vote accordingly, we're really keen to understand, you know, what is of interest to the audience out there, and then we can kind of plan accordingly, really. And whilst you're kind of mulling that over, hopefully you found today's session interesting. You know, hopefully the concept has now been explained in a clear way that you understand. If you'd never heard of Breeze before, you're struggling to get your head around the concept. And we've brought it to life a little bit with a few examples. Okay, so that's interesting. So Oceania, we're seeing now kind of tops the list. So I guess we'll get our heads together and think about how we can deliver some equally interesting content, and talk more about Oceania and what that is as a product, and how it's really different to kind of products that Avaya, I guess, have kind of launched in the past in that type of kind of space, really. So I think we're going to have a quick look at some questions have kind of been feeding in whilst we've been talking. Selena, do we have some questions that myself and Greg can maybe answer?
Yes, thank you both, Paul and Greg, for your time, and obviously everyone for listening and asking us a few questions. So the first question I actually do have is, what's involved in the deploying of Avaya Breeze? So that's at both yourself and Greg, Paul.
Okay, so I'll take that one then. That's a very good question, firstly, so thanks for asking that. I guess it really depends on where you are in terms of your Avaya technology journey. You know, I appreciate there are people probably out there who don't have Avaya or do have Avaya, different kind of stages of their technology journey. But Breeze is really an enablement platform, so it works in conjunction with existing products and solutions that Avaya have today. So, you know, Aura and some of the UC and contact center solutions, and it really kind of integrates seamlessly with that. It provides an underpinning framework for leveraging those type of products and solutions. So really kind of taking advantage of the features and functionalities that those type of solutions provide, and using those to address specific problems. So I guess in answer to the question, it really depends on what you've got today. Absolutely, can reach out to us directly, and we'll kind of sit down with you and have a conversation about that. I think, Greg, do you want anything you want to add to that?
Yeah, absolutely. And again, I think the important point there, Paul, is just that it does depend on what you currently have. So it's going to be something we will sit down, work with Sabio and yourselves to understand your roadmap, and get you to the point where Breeze can be deployed and you can start to take advantage. As Paul said, it doesn't mean rip and replacing, it means augmenting what you currently have. But obviously there are versions and things that we need to be aware of, and that's what we can do as part of a personalized technology roadmap for you. But the main things really are that we also need to understand what your business issues are. So what are your pain points? What areas do you feel actually have an impact on? And again, we would work that with you. We would work on that with you as part of that roadmap process.
Any more, Selena?
Yep, I do. Another question that has come through is, how can we leverage Breeze off our current Avaya, or is it a separate product?
So yes, so very much. I think we've probably partly answered that question in our ramblings to the answer in the first question. But yes, it is a new product in a lot of senses, but the journey is a very much an evolutionary one. It's not a kind of revolution. It's not you kind of take out everything you've got or you've invested in today. It's very much a complementary platform that really starts to kind of make more use of any Avaya technology that you've invested in today. So you're no longer looking at your products as individual technology stacks. It's really kind of pulling all of those products together, and leveraging the capabilities of those products in a way that kind of previously probably wasn't possible, or would take a lot of time, effort, and money to potentially realize the full potential of.
Yeah, and the other good thing as well is you don't have to take everything, because it is based around snap-ins. Again, we work out which snap-ins would be of use in your business, and then we deploy those. And again, it is, as you say, exactly right. It's an evolutionary approach. So, it's not you've got to buy the whole product. You can deploy it slowly. You can deploy it very targeted into your business, and then expand from there. There are a number of ways that you can go. We also have a bundle which actually provides a number of popular snap-ins together, as well as part of that initial deployment. So again, it all really does come down to your journey, what you're looking to do, and how we can help you achieve your business outcomes.
Thanks, Greg.
Perfect. I have got another question. Sorry, guys. Is Avaya Breeze a platform we need to deploy, or can it also be done?
Okay, so again, an interesting one. I guess if you have already invested in Avaya products and technologies, then it is something that, as we've talked about, it can be complementary to that existing technology stack, and really kind of take you on a journey that previously wasn't possible. But equally, there are a few different options. So Zang, which is a product that I talked about very briefly, and again, it might be something we address as a follow-up webinar. But that is really a cloud-based service. So that allows you to enable communication, enable any cloud-based applications that you've got. So whether it's kind of Salesforce or Microsoft in the cloud, a really kind of strong set of suite of tools for delivering communications in the cloud. And then there's a middle ground as well, which is Sabio have our on-demand proposition. So again, hosting Breeze and delivering that capability to you as end customers is something that truly sits in the middle. So I kind of think the breadth of options and solutions and approaches that Avaya offer to the end customers is I think it's fair to say a lot greater than some of the competitors that we're seeing out in the marketplace. Greg, have you anything to?
Yeah, I mean, absolutely. It's however you want to consume it, whether that be on-premise alongside an existing on-premise solution, whether it be hosted via Sabio privately for you, or whether there's a hybrid solution there. Again, all of these are possible. We're also doing a lot of work as well about hosting these platforms in infrastructure as a service platforms such as Amazon Web Services. So again, everything is possible. It's just down to what you want to do and how you want to consume it.
Thanks, Greg. Have we got maybe time for one more question, Selena?
Yes, just the last one, and then we'll answer as much as we can after. Thank you for your responses, guys. So the last one for today is, how many servers would be required to implement the basket solution outlined earlier?
Wow, that's a good question. So so first and foremost, I guess it's important to reiterate the fact that Avaya is a kind of a virtualized platform. So that kind of essentially means that we can host it on as few or as many instances as possible. Greg, keep me honest here. But I think it depends on it's mainly be driven by kind of scalability and resiliency that you want to build into the platform. So yes, we could probably get away with a single instance, but obviously that probably wouldn't give you the business continuity and mitigate against the risks that you potentially need to as part of a deployment of a solution that is really aimed at making customer experience brilliant. I think that's probably fair to say. Is there anything you want to add further to that, Greg?
Yeah, no, that's exactly right. Again, scalability, resiliency, all of that comes into play. development wise, you don't need to worry about that, but of course that will have an impact on the number of servers that are required. But as you correctly say, this is a completely virtualized offer, so can be run on an existing VMware farm, or you can deploy this on a new instance altogether. But we would work all of that out. Just look at how many customers that you're wanting to reach out to, how long, how many customers are going to be calling in, and so on. All of that has an impact on the number of servers, definitely.
Great. Thanks, Greg.
Perfect. Thank you both, Paul and Greg, for that. And thank you, everyone. Unfortunately, that is really all the time we have for today. Any questions that we did not answer, and there's quite a few that we haven't just sorry, and we will get back to you via email. And so recordings will be available on the website savio.co.uk, and any more information, please email us at info@savio.co.uk. Yeah, once again, thank you very much and have a good day.
Thank you, Selena. Thank you, everybody, for attending.